Welcome, everyone. My name is Natalie Mack, and I serve as our military outreach community coordinator. Today, I am joined by the founder of TalkBox.Mom, TalkBox.Mom, Adelaide Olguin. So today, Adelaide and I are going to learn and chat a lot about learning another language, about travel, and as well about embracing the experiences that they offer in your homeschool. I'm really excited about this, and Adelaide and I have already been communicating backstage, so we have a lot of things in common, and we're really excited. So first, I want to quickly invite everyone, please comment as you join. Let us know where you are joining from, and also let us know what grades that you are homeschooling right now. And are you interested in, or are you already currently learning another language? What language are you learning? What language are you interested in learning? So this is going to be an interactive live. So please continue to put your questions in the comments. And if you're watching the replay later, we encourage you to go ahead and feel free to leave comments. We will circle back as we are able to respond to those replay comments afterwards. So we thank you for joining us. And Adelaide, we're really excited to be here,
Thank you.
right?
I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to talk with our families, especially the families that are here to dream big and, open up new opportunities and have fun. And we're going to have such a good chat today. So I'm excited. Thank
Yes,
you.
I am too. I've been looking forward to this. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on in. And as people come on in, they can leave comments as well. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is, what questions should I ask myself when deciding on a language to learn? Are there particular questions when a family is trying to decide, particularly for their homeschool student? What language should we pursue or should our children pursue? Is there any particular guidance that you have for that?
Absolutely. And I think families can find themselves in different situations. One can be they feel this pull, like I should learn a language, I want to do it, but I don't know what I want to do. Or families are in the other position where they have too many languages, they don't know what to choose.
Yes.
So there are three questions I would definitely have you ask yourself. The first question is, if I could just be like, you speak this language now, what language would change your life, would change your interactions with people around you? What you could serve other people, you could connect with people. What language would that be? And then also important question, but maybe a different answer, is what language would change your future opportunities for yourself or for your child? What would open up for you that would be closed otherwise or not as deep and beautiful? And then the third question is there a language that's just near and dear to your heart that you would really, really love to use with your family? Because the best language to learn is the language that you'll actually do. Like you'll take the time and you'll do it.
Right. So the language that you have the most interest in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that exposure can come in a variety of ways, right? That you may have a child who says, "Oh, I want to learn that language. What language is that?" Right? Or so they may be out in maybe a fair or cultural event, and they hear someone speaking another language, and that could trigger interest as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fun to see like where the interest is coming from. And I think like a very popular language for a child, like with interest based, is usually Japanese.
Oh,
We see that a lot, that a lot of children are interested in anime and different things, and they just think
yes.
the writing is so cool. So they want to speak Japanese. And then the mom is like, you want to what? So we'll talk about that if your child
Yes.
is like, what? Yeah. So
Right. We're going to talk about that because TalkBox.Mom has the answer, right, for you. So we're going to talk about that. And so that's really a good point. In the homeschooling community, we are the instructor or we find the resource to instruct, right? And so if our student is saying something like, I want to learn Japanese or Arabic or Korean, we may feel, oh, I don't speak those languages. And you may feel a sense of that deep inability to actually meet that need. But we're going to talk about that with TalkBox.Mom, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
And I just want to say hi to Liv in the comments. She's a
Sure.
TalkBox.Mom family using German and Japanese. So, hey,
Oh,
Liv.
I see that. Hi, Liz. We're northeastern North Carolina. Okay, I am in Jacksonville, North Carolina right now. Just was speaking at Camp Lejeune, so I am here. And in a hotel, as you may be able to tell. So she's in, it said Northeastern North Carolina. That is great. German and Japanese. So we were just talking about the Japanese. So that is great. And then Melissa is here. We live in Arizona and are a family that uses Italian with TalkBox.Mom. Yay. We do not homeschool, just our language. Uh-oh, comments are popping. It just jumped. Let me scroll up. Hold on one second. I just our language because it is not offered at our schools. That's great. That is see. And Charity says, I'm watching from Omaha. I'm homeschooling 3 kids, aged 9, 10, and 13, and we're practicing Spanish. Welcome, everybody. Daniela says hello. Kimberly's from Southwest Colorado, 2 kids, ages 10 and 12. And then Laura says this, I almost bought TalkBox Japanese in a flash. I think I missed the sale. So I'm sure we will talk about that. I'm sure Adelaide has some answers for it. So I'm excited that you all are here. So she come on in, just let us know, how many kids you have, if you're currently homeschooling, what grades, and if you're interested in learning a language, or maybe you're already studying a language. So now this is a question that we have been asked before as well. So, what if someone says, well, my children can't agree on a language that they all want to learn? So, then what do I do? Do I teach them all, both separate languages? Say you have 2 kids that are like, oh, I think I want to learn Japanese. I want to learn German. I'm not quite sure. What would you suggest to that homeschooling mom?
So the first thing that I want us to think about is when we are using a language in our home, it should be a place of connection and joy. That's what it is, a place of connection and joy. If you're doing something else, we'll talk more about that today so that you can see how you can get it to a place of connection and joy. Yeah. So for you, you could say, you know what, I would love to have this connection and joy with one child doing Japanese, with another child doing Spanish. Like that as a mom would just be really fun for me. My 5-year-old on I think it was like last Friday or Thursday, he just wanted to do a French time with me. And so we practiced French together. And it was a fun connection that we had. So when you think about it like that, it's not this like overwhelming thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to teach this and I have to fit this into my day, right? Yes. So I just want us to think about that because language learning should just look different and easier. Mm-hmm. But then if you're like, you know what, as a mom, I can only do one language. Like that's what's going to happen. It's just that. Then what we want to think about is if we want to get our kids on the same page or get us on the same page with them, we know that the desire that they have to speak a specific language is internal and change doesn't happen externally. It happens internally. So if we want to get on the same page, there's 4 things I would look at. That is inspiring, enticing, loving, and rewarding. Okay, so to entice our child to speak another language, we might want to order food in that language and be eating it, and then them curiously come over, like, "What are you eating, Mom?" Right? And like, "Oh, I'm eating Korean food." I'm like, well, "Can I have some?" I guess if you want, like, "What movie you're watching?" "I'm watching a Korean movie." "Well, can I watch it with you?" "Sure, I guess." Right? So it's this enticing of them that they're like, "I kind of want to be a part of this." Yeah. And then we have like inspiring them, showing them like, oh, those people over there, they spoke Korean and they could help people or whatever language it was. That's just so cool. Never putting it like, well, you could be doing that. You don't want to like put it on your child like that, but just like, wow, I found that as a mom to be very inspiring. Right. And then you doing it also can be really inspiring. And then just really loving them where they're at. Like, okay, like, you want to do Spanish, your sister wants to do French. I think that's great. So like with TalkBox.Mom, you can just start with our phrase book for one of them, but go deeper in another one. So you still have that connection. It's lighter, right? And the other one, you can go deeper. And then for the reward, it can be like, well, after we're using Spanish in our home, then we can add in French. Yes. Right. And so then you can get your family to be more on the same page. So it just depends on the dynamic and what you'd love to do. But I would just really encourage you to make it a fun part of your life. You don't ever want it to feel like a chore. It shouldn't be, because you're not going to get the same results. Right. I understand that. And I think that sometimes foreign language can feel, because it may be the subject that we feel least able to teach, we may feel this pressure to like really get it in, and it should be very highly instructional. But what you're saying is that joy and that
that exposure and that love of learning, and just kind of like kind of, I guess, mixing it in with everyday life is what I think I know about TalkBox.Mom. And I know we're going to share more about what the curriculum actually is. But I think that that's a great suggestion. What you said, inspire is very key. And how did children are watching us, and so there's so many ways to get them curious. They want to do what we are doing, right?
That's right. I have the most resistant children, and they speak multiple languages. So I'll tell you, enticing them works.
Yes, right, exactly. So I see other comments coming in, and I will catch back up with the comments towards the end. But thank you all for coming on in and continue to put questions and comments there. So, what opportunities can open up for your student when they learn another language?
I think this is the best part. Because when I'm talking about using a language, I'm talking about you wake up in the morning and your child is whining to you that they're hungry in the language, right?
Yes.
When you're homeschooling, you're asking them to get their books out in the language. You might not homeschool math in the language, but you might be using the language as you prep, as you end, as they ask for snacks, as you do chores, when you're out in your community. Right. So when you can really use a language, that means that there's going to be educational opportunities that open up to your child that wouldn't have otherwise been there. So for example, there are internships in, say, like Germany, the DAAD program, where for like engineering and sciences, you can go out there and do an internship. And some of them don't require German, some of them do. But let's say it doesn't, but you can still use German. That means you're going to create relationships with the people that you're working with. You're going to create those connections, which then is going to open up job opportunities for you as well.
Right.
There's so many studying opportunities, and it's the work opportunities is just incredible. Like if you're a nurse and you can also speak Spanish, right? You can help more people. It also increases your salary. And then, I mean, one of the like most tempting things right now is Europe is really offering the dual citizenship to grandchildren. A lot of different countries are doing this. So if you are, some countries, if your grandparent is from that country, they will allow you to get citizenship. And part of the requirement is being able to use the language. So you use the language, you can go there. And once you have let's say you get a passport for Italy, because your family's from Italy. Well, now you can work anywhere in the EU.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's just like, these opportunities are so fun. And then, okay, you don't have that. Like it's my great grandparents that are from Germany. They left in the 1800s. I don't have that shot. But I can travel there, right? And I'll travel there with my kids and my husband. And at the end, we'll talk about how we travel for a lot of things are for free, so we can go even longer. But we'll stay in Germany for a couple of months. My kids love it. They get to go on the bikes on their own, go to the grocery store on their own. They just, they feel like these little adults because there's more freedom, more safety.
Yeah.
So, and they always say, they're like one of my sons, he was telling his friend, he's like, you have to be able to speak Spanish when you go to Mexico. Don't you want your order to be right? Like your food order?
So it sounds like he's figured it out. And so that's awesome. That is so awesome.
And he also knows like, oh, the neighbors speak Spanish or German, like in the country where we're at. And they're like, I want to go play with them. Or like, can I play video games? I'll speak German. I'm like, yes, you can.
Yes, right. Yes. I love it. It is absolutely, I know that for myself, early language exposure was key. And so I'm thankful for the opportunities that my parents were able to bless me with, and just like learning. And then it really caused me, I think it was an early high school trip overseas, and I was already studying Spanish. And when I got back, I said, okay, I'm going to add French, because we went to Madrid and then we went to Paris. And I thought, oh, Romance languages, I can easily pick it up. And I actually found I have a gift for languages. And so over the years, being a military family moving overseas, it has come in handy because I pick up languages pretty quickly. So this is really exciting because I've seen it personally, what you are talking about, right? Seen it personally, and this is great. I love it. So okay, the other question I wanted to ask is, how do I incorporate learning another language in my homeschool?
Yes. Okay. So a place where a lot of families start and end up getting stuck is they start with numbers, letters, and colors.
Okay.
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 The reason
Right.
that we start with numbers and letters and colors is that we think, oh, preschool,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But before you ever learn numbers, letters, and colors, your parents have been talking to you for years.
Right. That's
Before
true.
you reach school age, studies show that you've heard words over 46 million times,
Wow.
right? You've already had over 20,000 hours of listening. So when
Wow.
we start with colors, numbers, and letters, what happens is we only learn colors, numbers, and letters, right? We can only
Makes sense.
say like
Yeah.
dos, rojo. Like how far
Right.
is that going to get you?
Right.
So I was just saying two, red in
Yeah.
Spanish. Like it's just not
Right.
going to get you
It's
very
not going to
far.
get you too far for sure. Right.
So we have to recognize that as parents, we are actually the most successful language teachers in the world. We teach babies and toddlers all over the world to talk at a native level.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than a university professor can do.
I love that. Wow.
Okay, so it's just so powerful what we can do in our
Yeah.
home. It's probably, I love homeschool, and we have a lot of families that don't homeschool.
Yes.
But also I'm like, no, you do though, in a sense. Part of your life is homeschool. You teach at home. So I'm just very for that parents are just incredible teachers, especially with languages. So
Yeah.
what we do at TalkBox.Mom and how you incorporate the language is we follow the natural language progression. So when you're a baby, first, you are talked to, you're sung to. If you're a homeschool family, that baby's definitely read to a ton.
Yes. Right.
Then you start talking, singing, and telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
Then, watching videos, if you're allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start telling stories. Then you start reading, writing, and grammar. Most language programs, when people are thinking, how do I add another language to my homeschool? They think, let me start with reading, writing, and grammar.
Right.
So we lose the whole foundation of the language. And so we really want to think about teaching a language, adding it to our life the same way that we added the first language to our life.
I think that's incredible. Never really thought about that. Like I was just talking about how I've learned several languages, and it was just so right. The numbers and the colors, right? And it's not conversational. You can't do anything with that. So, wow, that's I love it. I love it. So, how do I immerse my student in another language? And I know we've been kind of talking. We haven't called it immersion, but we've been talking about basically opportunities for immersion. So I'll open it up to you.
Yeah. Okay. This is a great question. So when we're talking about immersion, we're really talking about fluency too, right? I feel like those go hand in hand. So fluency is the ability to easily and accurately use another language.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to remember the words. What's that?
I said that makes sense. Yes,
okay.
Yep.
So easily and accurately is what we're looking for. So fluency is more of a pyramid that's built. We already know that we need a basis of talking and listening. That's our foundation. So to do immersion and pass up years of trying to learn a language is what we do for families is you start with talking and listening, really using the language. Then you add in on top of that reading and copy work. Why? Because if I go to read something in another language, I want the image of what I'm reading to appear in my mind. So if I read perro in Spanish, right? I'm like, oh, a dog, right? If I'm reading something in a language, I'm reading in French and I don't know what it means, I need to be able to look in a French dictionary and in French, understand the meaning of that word. That's fluency, right? We have that easily and accurately going on. Then once we have that foundation of copy work, then dictation is really easy. That's when you hear something and you can write it down correctly. After that, we just need to recognize that grammar is actually analyzing the language and seeing the patterns and the exceptions. Grammar is not going to influence how you speak fluently. And what I mean by that is in a traditional language program, they'll start with grammar. So you'll learn the rules of the language. Then they'll want you to build that with words, grabbing nouns and verbs and putting that together. Then they want you to write. And then they're like, speak. And you're like, I can't because you never practiced. It never happened. So you feel anxious. You wonder what's wrong with you.
Yes.
So you lose that whole foundation. Now that's not fluency. The reason is because when you hear something, you have to translate it in your head, or you have to run the grammar rules, and then you can put it out. You have the output. So what we want to do instead, when we start with talking and listening, we're hearing it, we're saying it, and we know immediately what it means. And we'll talk more about how you do that, but you know immediately what it means and you can use it. And so that way you're there, you're in the immersion experience. So there are different ways of going about an immersion experience. I think the most frightening and jarring is just like throwing a kid into it.
Okay, yes.
We don't have to go there. So when you think immersion, you don't have to be like, all right, I'm just going to leave my child in Costa Rica. It doesn't have to be that. There
Right.
are ways, and often when a child already speaks another language, it's easy for them to speak that language. And so when a new language comes in, there's going to be more resistance. So you do want to make it like a bridge, just as easy as possible for them. So it's okay to tell them this is what it means, and then use the phrase, use it in your life. That's okay to do, because then their heart will be more open to learning and
Right.
making progress. So yeah, so that's how I would go about immersion and those layers.
Okay. Okay. All right. That is awesome then, because that sometimes comes up, and I know particularly in high school when families they feel the student has been learning a language in high school, and they think about, oh, junior year, maybe we can do like a summer immersion program or something like that, which I think has its value. I know
Oh
when I
yeah.
was in when I was in college, I know that at, I chose to do a study abroad in Sevilla, right, in España. And so I was thrown into that situation, and that's a funny story. Maybe we'll share at another point. You and I can laugh about
I
that.
watched
But
about it.
yeah, that was totally immersion for sure. And it was a great opportunity, I know, but like you were saying, I think that there's some ways we can even do it without even going anywhere, right? Just do the immersion experience like you were explaining. So I think that's a great idea. It doesn't always involve spending a lot of money and sending your student, like you said, you're not just dropping them in Costa Rica and just saying, okay,
But
here
that
you
is
are.
fun too. Like I'm not saying don't do that
Right, right,
either. Just
right,
there are
right.
other ways, and
There are other ways.
we're going
Yeah,
to be talking about traveling and speaking languages too. So
yeah, yeah, we
we'll
get
get
ready to
there.
actually, we get ready to actually get there pretty quickly. But how do I make it engaging and fun to learn another language? And I think you've touched on it a little bit, but I know you have some particulars, so go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So even if we followed the natural language progression and we worked on fluency, you can also make this a completely miserable experience for your child. So let's talk about how we don't do that so that it is fun and engaging. I think that's like one of the things that I hear a ton from other families is that, like with my family, like we just know how to make it so fun. And they're like, I forgot the fun. We need to do that. So there are some guiding principles that I follow to always make sure that we are in the wheel of fun and engaging. So the biggest thing is that we need to remember to teach like a mom, right? As parents, we are the most successful language teachers, but we have this draw to teach like a professor or teach, right? And so it's like, no, we have to do it this way. Even though we know the success rate is not so high, we just feel that. So we want to look at that. So one of the things that traditional language programs will often do is they want you to be perfect when you start. There might be a microphone that you talk into and you can just say it perfectly. That's actually not based on science at all. It takes a couple of weeks to a couple of months to hear the sounds in another language, as long as you're not stressed out. If you're stressed, it will take much longer, or often that's where your accent will get stuck. When you can hear better, you can pronounce better. Okay. So instead, as parents, we don't look for perfection right when our kids are starting to talk. A great example is if there's a baby and the baby sees a ball and the baby's like, bah, and you're like, oh my gosh, you said your first word, and you make a video. Yeah. You're not like, you said it wrong. It's ball.
Right.
So we want to just make sure as parents that when our kids talk and they say a word in another language, we're not like, wrong, right? Or to ourselves, we're not like, oh, I'm so terrible. No, we're adorable babies.
Right.
And we're just talking. The next one is that a lot of traditional programs, they want to use vocabulary words, right? They're like, memorize this list of vocabulary words.
Right. Long list.
And not only you're learning a word and you don't know how to use it is like the biggest drawback of that. But also think about it. If I gave my baby a vocabulary list, my baby would eat it. Right? Like the baby's not going to learn from vocabulary list. What do I do as a mom? I use full sentences in the moment as life is happening.
Got it. Full sentences in the moment as life is happening.
Okay. That's when we're going to make the biggest connection. And then the next one is correcting someone, not their pronunciation, but like their grammar. So for example, if a child came in here and they were like, oh, is that his water? The parent might be like, her water, right? And correct it right back. This is something that speech therapists say we could do better as parents. But what we want to do in this situation is model back correct language. So instead of like, it's not aggressive, but it is like, let's hurt, right? Like that's aggressive, like saying it straight back. Instead, we want to be like, oh yeah, that is her water bottle.
Yes.
So it's just modeled back correctly. With TalkBox.Mom, we have the native speaker audio. So you can say to your child, oh, let's hear that again, right? And you can just hear it again. And like, I just want to practice that again. And of course you want to hear something again. You want to strengthen that connection in your brain. People will often be like, oh, I heard it once, I should know it. It's like, wait, why don't you want to strengthen that connection?
Right. Yes.
It's not cheating. Like you want to hear it a lot. Okay. So modeling back. The next one are deadlines. We feel like, oh, we have to memorize all this stuff. We have to be ready for this test. It has to be done. If a parent did that to their 18-month-old, I'm not sure how many words is it, but let's say it's 20 words before their 18-month appointment. And they're like, uh-oh, you only know 17. You need to know 3 in the next hour before we see the doctor.
Yes, gotta have the 20, right?
You gotta have the 20. Oh, we laugh because it's like, that would be so weird to put that pressure on.
That would be. Yes.
So why are we putting that on someone else in their language development? It just doesn't make sense. We want to give everyone time, and you'll find there are language learners who, in everything in their life, they like to just watch for a while. They like to take it all in. And then there's others who just like to jump in. Those are like the babies who babbled, right? All the babbling. So there's just different ways that kids want to learn. So we want to give them time and make them feel really good about what they're doing in their time and how cute and adorable they are. Then the third to last one is building a language. So a lot of language programs, they'll give you nouns, they'll give you verbs, they'll give you adjectives. They're like, put it together. What does it make? And it's like not natively said at all.
Right.
So, I mean, a good example for English speakers is like, because language just doesn't make sense. So like when I tell my kids, put your shoes away, right? Put your toys away. Away means like in this dark abyss, but I'm telling them to put it in their place.
Right.
So
put your shoes in their place, right?
Yeah. Not just like away.
All right.
So it's the same for other languages where things just don't translate over. So what do kids actually do? Because we do hear them saying one word when they're little, but they're not building. They're actually extracting. Mm-hmm. So let's say I'm a really, really tired mom. It's not a stretch.
Right. Not a stretch.
But
right.
I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I can't don't talk to me yet. I need my coffee. Right. So my toddler just hears this. Don't talk to me yet. I need my coffee. And then I make cookies and I tell my toddler, I'm sorry, you can't eat the cookies until later. And he's like, don't talk to me yet. I need my cookies.
Right.
Right. So and then your spouse is like, you've made this monster. So what the child does is they hear the full phrase, they hear another full phrase, and they're able to pull out words and put them together. Mm-hmm. Our brains are really good at extraction. With TalkBox.Mom, we have various fluency approaches to help you use a language. Mm-hmm. And one of them is extraction because you're so good at that. Then the second to last one that I would look at to make sure we're making it fun and engaging is grammar. So a lot of traditional programs, they love to start with the present tense, past tense, future tense, right? As a parent, that would be like me going to Natalie and being like, so Natalie, how old was your baby when you started the past tense?
Right, exactly.
Mine was 3 months. So it's just, that's really silly. We don't do that with grammar. Instead, what we're doing is we're training our ear. We want to be able to hear how it sounds, and then we say it and we can correct it live in the moment. That is how we want to be doing it. And I'm not saying there's no place for grammar. It's just not when you're learning and starting speaking. The last one is a lot for our native speakers or people who, actually, I'm so sorry. I have 2 more. This is for everyone. The second to last one. I'm so sorry. I lost my count.
No, go ahead.
So a lot of traditional programs, they expect about half the kids to fail learning a foreign language, which is really sad. Wow. There's school districts out there that they're like, they hope that half will pass.
Wow. Okay.
So as a mom, that would be me being like, I hope half my kids learn to speak another language.
Right.
Or speak English, right? Speak our first language. I hope half my kids learn to talk. That would be a wild thought, because as parents, we expect our kids to talk unless something else is going on, right?
Right.
Like we expect it. So I just want you to think about that. Like you should expect your child to be successful learning another language, following this natural language progression. Mm-hmm. but you should also expect yourself to be successful.
Right.
Right? As
Right.
the parent speaking
Right.
with them. And then now the last one is one for native speakers, people who have learned a language. Often what happens is if you haven't talked to your baby in the language, like early on, you're just not in that habit. You realize that there's this guilt that comes in, and then you just start speaking the language at your child, all of it. And they're answering back in English and you're just talking it at them. That's something that teachers do a lot too. They're at the front of the room. They're just talking at the students.
Right.
So what we want to be doing is you got to remember how playful you were with your kids when they were little.
Yeah.
Right? There was so much
point.
tickling and having fun. And so we really want to get on that level of being playful. So with TalkBox.Mom, our program is not about how much you know. It's about how much the language you're using. Okay. So
big difference too.
It's a big
Very
difference.
big difference.
You can know nothing or everything, but if you're not using the language, we will help you to use it. So when we get playful, we take a phrase and we do a phrase practice session with it. And in that, the families are being very playful with their phrases, no matter if they have a teen or a young child. Like with my teenager, we were doing a phrase to dry off our faces in German.
Yeah.
And so we got an ice bucket and we were putting our faces in it, right? And then we had to say the phrase if we wanted to, or I had to dry my face off if we wanted to do it fast enough. So like it can be just really fun and match your child where they're at. But in that, when you practice a phrase, that then empowers them to use the phrase. And so then we focus on really using the phrases throughout our day. So if you want to make it fun and engaging, you got to teach like a mom.
Yeah. Teach like a mom, right? And the kids will love that, right? That's the natural way that we have from when children are babies, right? And they really connect that way. It's when we really make it this formal instruction and this pressure that we feel that you need to learn to speak this language, and it's not a natural way. And so I love that. And those were so many great reminders that just such practical things that I hadn't even thought about that really made a difference. And I love how you shared that. And it was really impactful for me. So I appreciate that. But we're going to segue into travel.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. What country are we going to? Like, so how important is it to travel when learning another language and have conversations with native speakers? How important is that?
Okay, I thought,
and let me mention real quick, a lot of times we may not think about that. We may plan a trip abroad, right, to a foreign country, but we may not necessarily be thinking about that, having those conversations with native speakers. Like, this is an opportunity. So I'll let you go ahead and share. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I thought a lot about this question because some people might just want to be in their comfort zone.
Yes.
And you know what? That's okay. But when you start using a language and you're using it with your family, you start to feel really comfortable, but it becomes a part of your lifestyle. Okay. So for example, we, where I'm at, there's a lot of Spanish speakers, and often they're trying to find a specific like office that they're trying to go to. And so they'll ask us where it is, and we're able to give them the instructions, and we know what they need. We can get them to the 4th floor, right, and use it. Right. My son, he was in a snowboarding class, and one of the little boys only spoke Spanish. And so he spoke Spanish to the little boy, and the instructor spoke English to my son, right? And it just went through that chain.
Yes.
Because that's just the lifestyle. Like, it's just going to happen. You overhear someone and that they need help. Oh my gosh, I was pushing a stroller once. I have a carry-on, I have my kids, and there was this single woman, and she was standing in an elevator, but she just looked scared and lost. And so I said, "Do you need help?" And she just stared at me, and I was like, and then I asked her in Spanish, "Do you need help?" And she lit up. She's like, "Yes." And so she just needed help to go somewhere. And then one of my kids, right, he grabbed my carry-on, I just grabbed hers, and I just walked with her down the escalator to where, I had the stroller, a little legal. Okay, down, and like got her to where she needed to go. But it happened because we used the language.
Right.
So that will happen. But then we have families who are like, okay, I want to be a little more adventurous. So something that I love to do is I love to plan language trips. Like, I make it really intentional. We call them our family language immersion trips. So we just did one in well, it went through May. So in April and May, we were in Europe for a month. So we
Okay.
did 10-ish days. So we'll just say 10-ish days. So 10-ish days in Madrid, 10-ish days in
Okay.
Italy, 10 days in Germany.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So when we do this though, it's some people are like, how much of the language should I know before I go on a language trip, before I do that? You can go at any stage and it'll have different results. So for example, for Italy, we had just started using Italian with our kids because my sister-in-law, she had this dream to go to Italy because her family's from there. She has
Yeah.
3 little kids and she also has cancer. So I was like, let's
Okay.
go, right? We
Okay.
got to go.
Right.
So we did Italian as much as we could before the trip, and then when we
Yeah.
were there, the kids, they're all posso avere, they're ordering their gelato in Italian, they're just
Yes.
having fun, and it just made them excited. They didn't know a ton, but of course with TalkBox.Mom, you can start using the language immediately. So we use
Right.
what we know, and then my 5-year-old, he is not going to let Italian go. He loves it for everything. Even if he doesn't know the word in Italian right now, he's like, posso avere French fry, per favore.
Report from there.
Can I have French fries, please? Right? Like he'll just put in any word. He'll be like, like movie, right? Like it's just so funny. But it's given him this. It's enticed him, right?
Right.
Inspired him, enticed him to really use the language. Now, Spanish, we have gone to Mexico. We probably spent more, like just so many months. We spent a lot of months in Mexico, let's just say. And then Costa Rica, we've been to as well. We love Mexico so much. We use our Spanish there. And my kids, we have abuelita who speaks Spanish. So Spanish is actually more resistant for them because they do have like, oh, I have to speak because of abuelita, even though they want to speak because of her.
Right. No, I got you.
It's not as exciting to them as like German that they will go into. But so when we went to Spain, it was a whole other country that looks completely different, right? That we have already the history we've learned in the Bahamas of Columbus going there. We have a history we have of the Spaniards and the mines in Mexico. So now we're in Spain and it looks different. It feels different. The food is different. And my kids are like, we can already talk to these people.
Yes.
So it just gave them like this second win for Spanish.
Yeah.
Or wind. I hope it's
right.
No, kind of like second wind, but second wind. But they're like, oh, I really like Spanish.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness, right.
Because then we'll get to the German part of the trip. They love German. They love German so much. They'll go outside their comfort zone. If they're not sure how to say something, they don't care. They're going to try to say it no matter what, because they love it so much. And so, Germany, like going there, that's more of like a reward. Like we've worked on our German, we'll go and it's a reward. So sometimes you go on a trip to get people excited. Sometimes you go on a trip to get that second wind or whatever it is you need. And sometimes it's because you guys, like my kids, I told them, if you work so hard, we'll do Germany in this trip too. Right.
Yes.
And so that's like a big reward to them. And now I told them after that trip, I said to them, that because they really want to do Japanese, and I'm like, okay, then when you graduate high school, we can go to Japan. If we really do it as a family, because it's adding in another language, right? And they are so pumped for that.
They're so excited. They are inspired, right? Like you mentioned, right? And they are enticed as well.
Yeah.
This is what the potential is when we finish, right? That is awesome. I love it. And so these 10-day trips that you take sound incredible opportunities. And so I just love travel. And like we've talked about a little bit before, that has been so much of a big part of my life. And as a military family, we have been, you get orders sometimes to places you may not want to go to, but those that, when we've gotten overseas orders, we've been pretty excited about that. And so it's been a great exposure. And so our children draw. Our oldest daughter, she was in high school. My husband is a Navy chaplain, so he was at Little Creek, which is in Virginia Beach, and he and our oldest daughter and youngest daughter went to Ukraine. And when they returned, our oldest daughter said, "I want to learn Russian." I had been trying to get her to learn Spanish, but she hadn't had any interest at all. But going to Ukraine and hearing Russian, she came back excited, and I said, "Okay, let's learn." And so eventually she did dual enrollment at Tidewater Community College and did Russian 101 and 102. And but it opened up such an incredible opportunity for her. So the next time she went back 2 times to Ukraine, she was speaking Russian, and it was wow. She felt so connected to the people. So um, language is such opens so many doors. It's just incredible, and so I'm excited that we're talking about this conversation
Yeah,
now.
I
Yeah,
pulled
go
this
ahead.
up.
Go ahead.
Okay, I
Sure. Go
pulled
ahead.
this up really fast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
from one of our TalkBox.Mom teens, Denisa
Okay.
Roman. So they're a
Sure.
military family, and they've gone all over. They have also adopted children from other countries. But Denisa, she said, when we're in other countries using other languages, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, it makes us feel like a part of those places, not just like visitors. It just
Yeah.
reminded me of what you were saying. Because it's
Yes.
just so true that that's when you can have the connections and the friendships. Yeah.
Exactly. And when we lived in southern Italy, we were in Naples for 3 years. When we got orders there, we talked to the family and said, we want to try to live on what we call the economy, right? That means not on the installation. And we did that. And it was like our kids played soccer in the street, and we learned Italian, and we went to the grocery stores, and, you know, even gummy bears in Europe are taste so much different, right?
They
And our kids
do.
learn how to get those from the stores, and it was just the opportunity and exposure that it opened for all of our kids, even our youngest, who was between 3 and 6 during that time period. And now he's been
I
able to
love that.
travel back with me. Like last week, I said I just got back from Germany, right? For the European Homeschool Conference in Ramstein. And so he has exposure and learning. So I think I'm always going to be a proponent. And so I love TalkBox.Mom because it is such conversational, practical, and it gets you talking, right? Instead of just kind of rote memorization of things that you can't, if you're asked to now, okay, put all that together and now to speak. And you're like, I don't know what to do, right? But
Yeah, it just comes out
TalkBox.Mom helps
easily and
you.
accurately.
Exactly, exactly. So we're talking about travel, and the question comes up, which is the reality. It can be expensive. So what are some budget-friendly travel ideas that we can talk about?
Okay, I love that. Do you know that I love that, Natalie, or no?
Yeah, no, I think I've gathered that you do because you travel and you have a family, and so when I travel and have a family, so I love it. So let's talk. I'm sure others want to hear.
Okay, well, let's talk about this month-long trip that we did in Europe.
Yes.
Usually when we travel, we actually save more money than not traveling.
Okay,
Okay?
break that down, Adelaide. Say that again for the people in the back, right? They need to hear it again.
Okay, so let me explain this trip and then I'll go into details how we did it.
Okay, sure.
So my sister-in-law, she really wants to go to Italy.
Yes.
But the timing that she can go is over spring break, which as homeschoolers, we're like, this is not great timing because we want to go when the prices are better.
Right.
So we look at the trip and we're like, okay, to fly to Italy for spring break, it will cost us more than if we fly into Spain 10 days before.
Got you.
So going to Spain, and I'll talk about how to do this without going into any debt or hurting your credit. But we used our credit card points and we flew to Spain and we just paid the fees, right? For 5 people. Then we flew from Spain to Italy for free, just the fees. Then we flew from Italy to Germany for free, just the fees. Then we flew Germany to the US back for free, just the fees. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Adelaide, wait. We need to do a travel Facebook Live too, like a TalkBox.Mom travel. Say that again. Okay, all right.
Okay. So then, and this is how I'm saying we're saving the money. So like we did have to pay those fees. I know I put on my Instagram how much it was, but it's less than like one person's ticket to do the whole thing, right? So that's the price of the fees. Then when we were in Spain, we used our hotel points, and I'll tell you how you can get those as well. We used our hotel points, and so the hotel was free. And the breakfast was included. And this is a Hyatt Regency. So the breakfast is like this, but the breakfast had dessert on the menu, okay? And you could order as much as you wanted. So we went to breakfast between breakfast and lunch. And we told our kids, you better eat your money's worth.
Right. You better eat enough. This is brunch. This is breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, we have brunch, snack, and dinner. That's all we've got here. So, so we do that. So now we're only spending our money on snack and dinner.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And we
Got it.
did the same thing in Germany as well. We were at another Hyatt Regency and it had a beautiful breakfast. Not, it's not the breakfast where you just get the eggs and maybe you have a
Right.
soggy waffle. This
Right.
is like huge areas of different food to choose from.
Yes.
Just beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's just one trip. We'll often do a trip and we'll look at it and we'll say, okay, how far can our points go? Does it make sense? Because instead of going to Munich, we could actually go to another part of Germany and stay 2.5 months versus 10 days in Munich. So we'll also compare, but Munich was worth it to us. It's where it's where my first child was born, right? So we have friends there we want to see. So that was just important. We wanted to do it like that. So how we do these, do the credit card points, and there's actually even more opportunities for family that are in the military. So I'll explain it this way, but I'm sure someone probably will put a comment in for the other ones. But okay, I'm rolling up my sleeves, let's go.
Yeah, no, I know. I see you. I'm this is getting even better than it's already been, right?
Okay. So the best way to get points is because there's so many cards out there, and people are like, I don't know what card to get. I don't know what to do. So the first thing you want to do is decide where do you want to go. Okay. And actually, let me get you the websites pulled up really quick so I can tell you the names of them.
Okay. We can put those in the comments, or we can post them later.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely give.
Okay, hold on. I clicked the wrong thing, but I'm close. Okay. So we want to go. I'm going to give you the website name because it's not coming off the top of my head. But we go to this website that I will soon reveal.
Yeah.
And you go there and you can look at flights to the country. So let's say you want to go to Korea. You're going to see who flies to Korea and what points does it take to get those flights.
Okay.
Or if I want to go to Spain, it's going to be a different airline that flies to Spain. Okay. I should remember the name. So the name of the website is pointsyeah.com. So YEAH.
Okay.
I can type it in. I'll type it right here. Oh, Hector put it in. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Hector.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hector. Geek. Yay. Bravo.
He is the points master. So guys along for the ride. Okay. So you go to pointsyeah.com. You can see the different flights and you're like, okay, it's going to take so many points from American Express.
Okay.
Right. Then it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't have American Express points. Always check, see what points you do have. I have talked to people and they didn't realize that they had hundreds of thousands of points.
Right.
So always check to see if you have points. To check to see if you have points, you can check the airlines. You can check the American Express and also Ultimate Chase Rewards. Those ones you can see. And then you can also check hotel loyalty. Right. So take inventory. What points do you have? So now you know where you want to go. You know what points you need to get there. You can go to a website and Hector will put it into, I bet, frequentmiler.com. You go to that website and it will tell you, so if you're like, I need to get some Chase Ink cards, right? They'll tell you what card will give you bonus sign-up points. So maybe you'll get a card and it will give you 80,000 bonus sign-up points, 100,000 bonus sign-up points. So you want to look for those cards. So we might get multiple cards between us. Before we do that, though, we have to be wise. There's things that you want to look at each card. So first you look and you make sure it has a bonus sign-up point. You never want, if someone at TJ Maxx is like, do you want the card? Your answer is no, right? It's not going to get you bonus sign-up points.
Right.
Get a card if it's going to have good, big points. Then you have to meet the minimum spend. So you want to do this wisely. You want to look at your budget and see what are you already spending money on? Right? Your groceries, how much are those each month? How much are the clothes? Just in Texas, we just had tornadoes last night. So do you need to get another roof? Can you put it on a credit card and then pay off the insurance money? Just think about what your expenses are. Anything that you're purchasing, especially getting discounts through HSLDA with, right? Be sure you're looking at that. Then you want to just meet the minimum spend and then you pay off the card. You do not carry a balance. So it's just very wise. You're really taking advantage of these opportunities that you're giving you, which I think is great because credit card companies take a lot of advantages, right? So,
right.
So play it wisely. So we have a lot of cards that we don't have a balance on. We'll set a calendar on our phone. If a fee is going to come up on the card, I'll call and I'll say, hi, I saw that my fee is coming up. I would like to downgrade to a no fee card. They might say to me, we'll waive the fee this year. And then I'll set an alarm for the next year. They don't think I will, but I will. So in my calendar, I'll have a timer go out, right? And they'll tell me to do it.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, we'll downgrade you to no fee card. That's great because it keeps the credit open, which is what we want. Or
Right.
they'll say, sadly, there isn't a card to downgrade to. At that point, we would have to close the credit. That's like our last option, what we want to do.
Okay.
I've also had it where I apply for a card, Natalie, and they deny me. And it's not my credit. It's nothing like that. I call them up and I like, oh, why was I denied? And they're like, you already have a lot of credit open with us. So it's like a different card with the same credit.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, really? Do you think I could, how much is open? And they'll tell me how much is open on a card. And they're like, and it's unused. I'm like, do you think you could put 3,000 of that on the new card? And they're like, absolutely. And they just transfer it over and then they give me the card. And it's not like I'm doing anything different.
Right.
Right?
That's so savvy. Wow.
Yeah. So you just want to see like which cards you need. And it could take you longer to go to a place. It could take you a shorter amount of time. But as long as you know where you're going. So like Japan for us, right? It's something that we can work towards and start doing. You do want to use your points rather quickly, though. They do depreciate in value. So you don't want to hold on to them. Okay. So if you have points, once you get them, you definitely do want to be able to go and use them.
That is awesome. I know our oldest son, he keeps saying, Mom, I need to sit down and show you how to do this because he just got back. Matter of fact, when we were over in Europe just last week, our oldest son and two friends were in France and they went to Paris and then went to the French Riviera. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay, you military child, I see, I exposed you to travel. So now, what is it? Just, keep a suitcase packed and go. But I was thinking, how are you doing that? He's a college grad and all, and he has his own job and lives and takes care of his own expenses and has his own apartment and all. So, I mean, it's doable. It's just a different lifestyle than what you're used to, right? But he said, no, it's the point. He said, I need to show you how to do this. He has figured out the system to use it, right? And so I love, thank you, and thank you, Hector, for the links there for our viewers that may be interested in accessing that. I will say the HSLDA also has a member discount, right, with Choice Hotels. So it is it is accessible if you log in, right, as a member on hslda.org. Go to the member savings section. We probably will put a link possibly in the comments there. But we do have a member discount with Choice Hotels. And also we have a discount with TalkBox.Mom for our members, I believe. So tell us now a little bit more about TalkBox.Mom.
I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah.
So I'll start with this comment I see from Shani Wanny. She says, we do Spanish and Chinese with TalkBox.Mom and dabble in languages where we've been stationed. It has been life-changing and confidence building for our kids and us. My kids interact with the country and people and traditions in such a different and memorable way compared to when we didn't have our tools from TalkBox.Mom. So what are these tools? So we have a series of boxes that come to your home. It's a series of 9 boxes. And you can start with the first one. You can go as deep as you'd like. We do have discounts if you buy the whole program up front. So that's definitely an option, or you can buy as you go. So you decide. Each box has a different fluency approach and has different fluency approaches to help you use the language. So like the first box, the fluency approach is consistency and exponential progress. So it's based on snacks and kitchens, the snacks and kitchen, right? So like how often do your kids say they're hungry? How often do you eat? All the time. Like we're going to get that consistency. Then we have that extraction that I was talking about. We've really chosen the phrases to help you move forward very quickly. So you'll get, and actually I have one right here. You can, wrong direction. You can see it. This is this. Oh, it's mirrored. This is
I know. It's hard to figure, right? Start talking. Okay, got it. Wow.
So the first challenge is right here.
Yeah.
You take it, you put it up in your kitchen where you can see it. It has phrases on there like, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? If it's Spanish, to 2 or more people or to 1 person. So you're learning to conjugate tener by actually using it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just very, very, the fluency is there. Then it has phrases like, do you want certain foods? Want them? Here they are. Do you want more? We don't have any more. Your brother, sister had the last one. Are you all done? I'm all done. Let's clean up, put your plate in the sink, on the counter, in the dishwasher. So it's in a series and your brain will pull really well from the series, which is why we did that as well. So you'll do 10 practice sessions in this challenge, and then you move on to your next challenge. For the practice session, we're going to choose our phrases. We might choose 1 or 2 phrases to work on, up to 5 max. But if you want to make a lot of progress, you're going to choose fewer phrases. Okay. Then you practice those phrases. We have the native speaker audio in the TalkBox.Mom companion app. So you will hear exactly how it's said. And remember, these languages are done by native speakers, not me. I'm not teaching you Chinese. Don't worry. Okay. So you'll hear, like, say if it is Chinese or Mandarin, you'll hear the tones, right? And you'll see them.
Right.
You really hear it. You'll say it. We practice with the audio. Then you practice in situations. So like, I'm hungry. When do my kids say it? When I say bedtime, right? So I'll tell my kids bedtime and they're going to cry, tengo hambre, as they go to their bed. Then you practice it with emotions. And then after that, your goal is to use the phrase as much as you can before your next practice session. Your next practice session depends on your family. It could be in 2 hours or it could be in 2 days, just depending on how you like to move forward. After you do 10 practice sessions, you could learn, you could be using 10 phrases or you could be using 50. It just depends on how much you want to be adding in at a time. And then you move on to your next challenge. You don't learn all the phrases or to use them, because when you go back to this challenge, because you've been like, let's say I've been saying I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, right? In Spanish.
Right.
When I learn tengo mucha hambre, I'm really hungry, it's so quick to add that in because I've been saying tengo hambre, I'm hungry a lot. I'm really hungry is just easy step.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you'll see that progress just speed up. So you'll move on to this challenge here with this. It's this huge poster. There's 2 of them, and it's not a vocabulary chart because we don't just do vocab words. All of the foods are written to fit in the sentences at the top. So you're able to build the sentences that you need in a way that a native speaker would say it. So everything is already, like if it's German, it's already declined properly so that you're saying it correctly. So it has einen Apfel. So you have that right. Right. And then once you do your 10 practice sessions there, you move on to these little label cards at the front. These are not flashcards because we never want our memory to come from the words on the page or the audio. We want our memory to come from the experiences. That's what we talked about with moms in the moment as life is happening, right? Right. So as we're using it, we use it because we've been empowered to use it. As we use it, it becomes like a part of us. So there's a label card for put the plates on the table. Right? Do you need a plate? Can you get me a plate, please? This is something I use at a hotel all the time. Can you get me a blanket, please? Can you, right? They're foundational phrases. Also, one of the, and there's at least 45 label cards. So if you don't have something in your kitchen, it's okay. There's we have lots of options for you, but there is a card for a microwave if you have a card. And in German, it has the microwave is beeping, die Mikrowelle piept. And when I was in Germany, I was at a restaurant. It was like those trampoline places. Yeah. Right. Yes. They have like the food there and everything. Right. Okay. The lady there asked me in German if I had a peeper. And I was like, excuse me. And then the phrase came to me, die Mikrowelle piept. And I was like, oh, beep, beep, beep. I'm like, oh, one of those things that page you to get your food. Yes. I was like, no, I don't have one. And she's like, oh, I must have forgot. And she got it and gave it to me. But that's what we're looking for. Right. When we teach a language in our home as parents, in our first language, our kids will go out and they'll have other experiences. And it's not that they're learning the whole language again. It's that they're adding in. So when they learn biology, they start adding that in. That's different than if you have someone who learns business German. Right. It's going to be harder for them to talk at church if they go to church. It's going to be harder for them to talk with friends because they don't have the foundation that's spoken in the home. So when you have that foundation in the home, it's very easy to add in business German. It's very easy to do these other service things, like with the Russian, right? If you're helping out and serving. There's other things that you can do. So once you finish your 10 practice sessions in that challenge, then it's time to move on to your next box. And the power of it is, and as a parent, is if someone came to your home and they did those 10 practice sessions and each of those challenges with you for that box, that one box would cost at least $750 of that person's time. It is very expensive to have a high-level immersion experience, and we wanted to make this accessible for families. So we took that $750 experience and we put it into a $90 box for your family. Not per child, not per month, per box. and
box
you
for the whole
decide when your
family.
boxes come. It could be, your box could come every month, and that's if you want to do 2 practice sessions a day. Your box could come every 2 months. That would be like you doing 3-4 practice sessions a week. Or your boxes could come every 3 months, and that'd be you doing like 2-3 practice, like a little bit less practice sessions per week. I hope I said per week the first time. Anyways, per week. So you decide. And so if you're not sure, I mostly recommend every 2 months. That's a very casual pace for you to be practicing and adding the language in. And it's great because once you are using these phrases, you'll be reviewing your past phrases, and you'll be adding in a new topic with a new fluency approaches that'll keep you moving forward in the language. So like my son says, when you're somewhere, you'll get your order right.
Right.
So that's how TalkBox.Mom works. And I would love for you, if you're on here and you don't have TalkBox.Mom, you can purchase through HSLDA. And when you do that, it actually supports HLSDA. Wait, HSLDA. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no worries. You got it. It's okay.
I had it the first time.
Try to say it really fast, right?
It's hard when you're like live is always like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's okay. You're fine.
But it supports you guys that we really want to be able to support you. So please, if you're on here and you haven't bought yet and you would love to start, go through that link.
The link that's there. So we have the link there. Discount for TalkBox.Mom. You can see it there. We have the member savings discount, and then Hector posted a points, and a frequent miler. So we got a couple of links there. And so this has been incredible conversation. I've been so excited for weeks about this because this is languages and travel and culture. Like I talked to you a bit backstage, is something that I am just, my family knows this is just me. So I am excited, and I think this is an incredible program, TalkBox.Mom. Matter of fact, when we were just in Germany, I have the TalkBox.Mom Spanish, and then my husband, but we got it early when I think your company first got started. So my husband grabbed up a newer kit from Nina when we were at the European Homeschool Conference. So and he on his own. So and so I thought, oh, that's great. So we're excited about it. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And you know what, we have questions, we have comments I want to get to really quickly before we actually close out.
I see Jamie Page's question.
Let's see here. You see a question there. I see a couple of, let me see. I just want to read them out. I did. Kimberly. Laura says, I think I missed the sale. Jake Hydeck, I think, or PDEC, will be starting our first TalkBox French this fall. 3 kids, with the oldest starting first grade. I have always wanted to learn Francais and am excited to learn it alongside the kiddos. Rachel says, how awesome, in Wisconsin. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Laura says, I have 5 kids, and I think, and we are a Spanish-speaking family. I wonder if there's a good fit for us, just keeping our language skills abreast with our daily life, like we already speak it. But after having an exchange student from Italy, we got out of the habit. I won't have any more homeschoolers, and I have been homeschooling at least one child since 2013. I think it would be a great fit to continue, right? I mean, you don't, like you said, not everyone's homeschooling. There's a variety of people that have tuned into this, and I think it's great. Let's see, Jamie says, what's the typical time frame for families to start to speak the language well and possibly communicate with native speakers? I think that we may have covered that. Did we cover that a little bit?
I'll answer it a little bit. Yeah. I tried to include, I saw some comments coming through. I tried to include, but I don't know if I included Jamie's very much, but you will start talking from day one, right? And using it. But then, like, when can you talk to native speakers? I just first want to say, like, never fall into the trap that you're not good enough to talk to native speakers.
Yeah.
It's those opportunities when we're talking to them that, that we can also make progress. Right. So even in it's too far to grab, but in our phrase book, we have phrases like, I just started speaking Spanish with my family, or what does that mean? How do you say da-da-da? So that you can just jump into a conversation and just start talking. So with my kids for French, I'll give you an example. We have only done the first box one time through, and the Snacks in the Kitchen box one time through, and the Action Rooms and Games box, the first challenge. And we are, and one phrase from the Drinks and Dining box, because I wanted to, but we're on the airplane and we're flying home from Germany, but it connected in France.
Yes.
I accidentally speak to the flight attendant in German, right? Because I
Yes.
forget where I am.
Yes.
And she's like, no German. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, France. So then I was like, je peux avoir de l'eau, s'il vous plaît, right? And I don't have the most amazing French, right? But she was like, oh. So she goes and gets the water. I'm like just using my phrase, like whatever. And then my 10-year-old, he remembers our trip to France, and like, and we do mostly German and Spanish in our home. So like those we do every day. So we haven't done a ton of French, right? Since then. And he's like, Mom, I want to say it like that too. And the lady hears him. So she's standing there and I like guide him through the sentence, right? And he asks, and so he gets it. And she was delighted, this French woman, to come to us more than everybody else, see if we wanted anything, help us to like ask for stuff, to talk, right? So that's just like a little bit using it. But once you get into the parks, the playground and small talk box, this is a really great opportunity where you are having so many exchanges with people. You've become very comfortable in your language skills. You're able to we teach you how to say, I homeschool in the language, right? We teach you how to connect with them. Maybe you want to find them on Instagram, right? So we really help, and your kids as well, because kids, they go to the playground and they're like, how old are you? When was your birthday, right? So we have all of that in there, what your interests are. So at that point too, you're also able to connect in a different, deep way. But there's always experiences where we're able to stretch ourselves more with a native speaker, no matter where we're at in our language journey.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I'm going to read two last comments just because I know people have posted them. And okay, so actually 3 real quickly. Molly, I think, watching from Texas, homeschooling 2 kiddos, 7 and 4, hoping to start Spanish with TalkBox because we do want to go to Costa Rica one day. And then Shani Wani says, we do Spanish and Chinese with TalkBox.
Oh, that's the one I read.
Okay, you read that one. Yeah, that's cool though, Spanish and Chinese. And then someone's daughter's learning Russian. And then we had last comment from Rachel Ward from South Carolina. We've done the Spanish talk box. She says, I've looked at several language programs and this is the best. So natural, well laid out, and fun. So you hear that, Adelaide?
Yes, I'm saying thanks for sharing.
I know Hector's like, yes. So thanks for sharing, everyone. TalkBox.Mom says, thank you, Adelaide, for posting that. So thank you all for joining us today. We encourage you to check out our free webinar on learning another language, and we'll drop that link there, as well as, let's see what else. I think the link may have already been dropped there. I think we did. It looks like possibly. If not, we will post the link there. And then you can also access more resources available through membership. We would love for you to join us. So that is https://hslda.org/join. And the link will be put there. So if you would be interested in membership, we would love to have you. And so thank you so much, Adelaide. I appreciate you being here. We've had a great conversation, I believe. And thanks everyone for joining us. And we hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much.